Commander Lisa Carter pressed her face against the cold metal window of the exploration ship Aurora. The view outside made her stomach twist with nerves. A massive alien structure floated in the darkness of space, bigger than any city she had ever seen. Strange lights blinked across its surface in patterns that hurt her eyes to follow. "It's been 3 hours since they responded to our message," said Dr. Peter Mitchell, standing behind her. His voice shook a little. "Maybe they changed their minds about meeting us." Lisa turned away from the window. The bridge of the Aurora buzzed with quiet activity. Her crew moved between computer screens and control panels, their faces tight with worry. Everyone knew what was at stake today. For 30 years, humans had been talking to aliens through radio signals. The conversations were slow and careful. The aliens called themselves the Zentari, and they spoke for something called the Galactic Council. 12 different alien species worked together to keep peace in this part of the galaxy, but humans were not part of this council. Earth was far away from everything else, stuck on the edge of the galaxy like a forgotten island. The aliens had been polite in their messages, but the meaning was clear. Humans had to prove they were worth knowing, or they would stay alone forever. "Commander." Carter called Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez from her station. "We're getting a signal from the alien ship." Lisa walked over to the communication panel. The screen showed symbols that meant nothing to her, but the computer had learned to translate them. "Permission granted to dock," Emma read from the screen. "One small ship only. Bring no weapons. Bring examples of human achievement." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. This was it. After months of preparation, they were finally going to meet aliens face to face. "Get the shuttle ready," she ordered. "Peter, grab your samples. Emma, you're coming with us." "Me?" Emma looked surprised. "But I'm just communications. Shouldn't you bring more scientists? You've been listening to their signals longer than anyone," Lisa said. "If something goes wrong, you might catch things the rest of us miss." 20 minutes later, their small shuttle flew toward the alien station. Lisa sat in the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls, even though her mind raced with questions. What would the aliens look like? Would they be friendly or cold? Could humans really offer them anything they didn't already have? Peter sat behind her, checking his bag of samples for the 100th time. He had brought pictures of human art, recordings of famous speeches, examples of human science and medicine. But looking at them now, everything seemed so simple compared to a space station the size of a mountain. "I've been thinking about their transmissions," Emma said quietly. "There's something strange about them." "Strange how?" Lisa asked, guiding the shuttle into a docking port that opened like a mechanical. "Flower. Well, they send lots of different kinds of signals. Mathematical formulas, scientific data, even what might be poetry. But there's one type of signal that humans send that I've never heard from any of the 12 species." "What type?" Emma paused. "Music. In 30 years of listening, I've never heard anything that sounds like singing or instruments or rhythm. Nothing that sounds like what we would call a song." The shuttle locked into place with a loud clang. Lisa turned off the engines and looked at her team. "Remember, we represent all of humanity today. Let's make them proud." The airlock opened with a hiss. Cool, clean air flowed in, carrying strange smells that made Lisa think of metal and ozone. They stepped into a corridor that stretched away in both directions, lit by soft blue lights that seemed to come from the walls themselves. A figure waited for them. Lisa had seen pictures from the radio transmissions, but meeting a Xanthari in person was different. It stood 7 feet tall, with gray skin that looked like smooth stone. 4 arms hung at its sides, and its head was larger than a human's, with big black eyes that never seemed to blink. "I am Speaker Vex 9, it said through a small device on its chest. The voice sounded flat and mechanical. "You will follow me to the council chamber." They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The walls showed moving pictures of different worlds and creatures. Lisa saw species with scales, others with fur, some that looked like they were made of crystal or liquid. All of them were more advanced than humans. "Your species is young," Speaker Vex 9 said as they walked. "Many council members question whether you are ready for contact. You must prove your value. What have other species brought when they joined?" Peter asked. The Vorthik brought mathematics that allowed faster space travel. The Kellians brought engineering that made planets livable. The Zephyrians brought computers that think faster than any mind. The aliens stopped walking and looked at them with those huge black eyes. "What do humans bring?" Peter started to answer, but Lisa held up her hand. She realized they were being tested even now, before the real meeting started. "We bring ourselves," she said simply. "Our way of seeing things, our creativity, the things that make us human." Speaker Vex 9 made a sound that might have been a laugh. Many species have said similar words. Few have proven them true. The council chamber was enormous. 12 sections curved around a central platform, each filled with creatures Lisa could barely understand. Some looked like giant insects. Others seemed to be made of living light. One section held beings that looked like walking trees in the eos. Center of the chamber stood a single human-sized platform with a microphone and a table. "You have 1 hour," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Show us why humanity deserves a place in the Galactic Council." Lisa, Peter, and Emma walked to the platform. Lisa looked up at the hundreds of alien faces watching them. Some looked curious, others looked bored. A few looked hostile. Peter began his presentation, showing holographic images of human achievements. Great buildings, beautiful paintings, medical discoveries that had saved millions of lives. He spoke about human space exploration, about the courage it took to leave Earth and travel to the stars. But Lisa could see it wasn't working. The aliens had seen all of this before, done better by older species. What could humans offer that these ancient civilizations hadn't already perfected? As Peter finished his presentation, the chamber fell silent. Lisa knew they were about to be rejected. Humanity would return to Earth alone, cut off from the galaxy forever. That's when Emma stood up. "May I try something?" she asked quietly. Lisa nodded, not knowing what else to do. Emma walked to the edge of the platform and pulled something from her bag. It was an old violin, the same one her grandfather had played when she was little. The wood was worn smooth and dark with age. She raised the bow to the strings and began to play. The first note from Emma's violin filled the enormous council chamber like water filling an empty cup. The sound was soft and sweet, rising from the strings in a way that made the air itself seem to vibrate. Lisa watched as every conversation in the chamber stopped. Aliens who had been looking at their data screens turned toward the platform. The Zenthari representatives, who never showed emotion, tilted their large heads in a way that looked almost like curiosity. Emma closed her eyes and let her fingers move across the strings. She played a melody her grandfather had taught her years ago, something old and beautiful that spoke of longing and hope. The violin sang in her hands, each note hanging in the air, before blending with the next. Something strange was happening in the chamber. The Vorthik delegation, beings made of what looked like living crystal, began to glow with soft light. Their bodies pulsed gently, changing colors from blue to green to purple in time with Emma's music. Peter grabbed Lisa's arm. "Look at the Kellians," he whispered. The Kellians were tall creatures with 4 arms and huge ears. They could hear sounds across great distances. They were known throughout the galaxy for their sensitive hearing. But now they sat perfectly still, their large ears turned toward Emma like satellite dishes focusing on a distant signal. One of the Kellians was shaking. not from fear or cold, but as if the music was moving through its body like electricity. Emma played on, unaware of the effect she was having. She had chosen this song because it reminded her of Earth, of quiet evenings with her family, of all the things humans might never see again if this meeting went wrong. The melody shifted, becoming sadder, but somehow more beautiful. It spoke of loss and distance, of being far from home. Every human who heard it thought of Earth, blue and green and perfect, spinning alone in the dark. But the aliens heard something else, something they had forgotten existed. In the section where the tree-like beings sat, one of them began to sway slightly. Its branches moved in rhythm with the music, leaves rustling like whispers. Other members of its species joined in, creating a soft sound that blended with the violin. Lisa felt tears on her cheeks. She had heard Emma play before during quiet moments on the ship, but never like this. Here in this vast chamber, surrounded by impossible creatures from distant worlds, the simple human music seemed to touch something deeper than words or pictures ever could. The song changed again, becoming stronger and more hopeful. Emma's bow danced across the strings, pulling out notes that seemed to climb toward the ceiling and spread through the chamber like light. That's when the impossible happened. The chamber's walls began to glow. At first, Lisa thought it was just her imagination, but Peter saw it too. Soft light spread across the metal surfaces, growing brighter as Emma played. The light moved in patterns that matched the rhythm of the music, flowing like water made of stars. The stations responding to her playing, Peter whispered in amazement. But it wasn't just light. Deep in the station, machines that had been silent for thousands of years began to hum. Computer systems that had run on basic power suddenly came fully alive. In chambers far from the council room, crystal formations began to vibrate in harmony with Emma's violin. Speaker Vex 9 stood up from his seat. His forearms moved in gestures that Lisa didn't understand, but his voice carried clearly through the translation device. "The harmonics are active," he said, and his mechanical voice almost sounded excited. "The resonance chambers are responding." How is this possible? The council members were no longer sitting quietly. Some stood to get a better view. Others activated devices that scanned Emma and her violin. The insect-like beings clicked and chirped to each other in languages. The translation system couldn't handle. Emma played the final notes of her song, letting them fade slowly into silence. When the last note died away, the chamber remained perfectly quiet for several long seconds. Then every alien began talking at once. The noise was overwhelming. 12 different species all trying to communicate at the same time, their voices mixing. With electronic beeps, clicks, whistles, and sounds Lisa couldn't even describe. The translation system gave up trying to convert everything and just displayed multiple simultaneous conversations on its screen. "What's happening?" Emma asked, still holding her violin. She looked confused and a little scared. Before Lisa could answer, a new voice filled the chamber. It was different from the others, clearer, stronger, and somehow ancient. It spoke in perfect English, which should have been impossible. "We have waited so long for this moment," the voice said. Every alien in the chamber fell silent. Even the mechanical sounds of the station seemed to quiet down. "Who is speaking?" Lisa called out, looking around the chamber. "I am the memory keeper of this station," the voice replied. "I am the artificial mind that has guided the council for over 1 million years. And I have been waiting for your species to return." "Return?" Peter stepped forward. "We've never been here before. This is humanity's first contact with the council." "No," the voice said gently. "This is humanity's homecoming." Lisa felt the floor seem to shift under her feet. "What do you mean?" "The sounds your companion created, what you call music, once filled every world in this galaxy. It was the foundation of our greatest civilization, the bridge between mind and matter, the language that connected all conscious beings. The voice paused, and Lisa could hear something like sadness in it, but the makers of this music vanished long ago. We called them the harmonics. For millions of years, we have searched for any trace of them, any clue to what happened to their great civilization. Emma lowered her violin slowly. You think humans are related to these harmonics? I do not think it, child. I know it. The patterns in your music match the harmonic frequencies stored in our deepest archives. The way your sound waves interact with our technology is exactly as the ancient records describe. You are not just another young species seeking to join our council. The voice grew stronger, filling every corner of the vast chamber. You are the children of the harmonics, returned to us after an exile that lasted longer than the rise and fall of entire civilizations. You are the lost singers of the galaxy, come home at last. Lisa looked at Emma, who stood frozen with her violin in her hands. Peter stared at the ceiling as if he could see the artificial mind speaking to them. Around them, hundreds of alien beings waited in perfect silence for what would happen next. The galaxy had just learned that humanity was not just another species asking for acceptance. They were the descendants of legends, the inheritors of a musical legacy that could change everything. And they had brought their songs home. Back on the Aurora, Captain Jake Sullivan watched his screens with growing worry. Energy readings from the alien station were jumping wildly, showing power levels that should have been impossible. Sir, called Dr. Ben Parker from the science station, the Zentari ship is pulling energy from somewhere. Their power core just increased by 300%. Jake frowned at the display. What could cause that kind of surge? I don't know, but it started right after Commander Carter's team went aboard. Maybe we should get them out of there. Before Jake could respond, more alarms began beeping. The sensors showed something even stranger happening. Other ships around. The station were lighting up with activity. Vessels that had been dark and quiet were suddenly coming online. Captain, Ben said, his voice tight with excitement, I'm reading power signatures from ships that have been dead for centuries. Some of these vessels are older than human history. Jake grabbed his communication device. Aurora to Commander. Carter. What's your status over there? Static filled the channel for several seconds before Lisa's voice came through, shaky but clear. Jake, you're not going to believe this. Emma played her violin, and the whole station came alive. The aliens are saying we're related to some ancient species called the harmonics. Related how? They think humans are their descendants. The station's artificial intelligence says our music matches patterns from millions of years ago. Jake, there are ships out here that are starting up just from hearing Emma's violin. Jake looked at his crew. Everyone on the bridge had stopped working to listen to the conversation. Are you safe? He asked. For now. But Jake, this is bigger than first contact. If what they're saying is true, humans might be the key to unlocking technology that's been sleeping for eons. Inside the council chamber, the artificial intelligence continued speaking. Its voice seemed to come from the walls themselves, ancient and wise. Long ago, the harmonics built a great civilization that spanned this entire galaxy. They discovered that certain sound patterns could interact with matter at the smallest level. Their music could make plants grow faster, heal injuries, even change the basic structure of materials. Emma held her violin tighter. That's impossible. Music is just vibrations in the air. Not just vibrations, child. Music is mathematics made beautiful. It is order emerging from chaos. The harmonics understood this in ways that other species never could. They built machines that responded to harmonic frequencies. They created cities that sang with the wind. They made art that was alive. Peter pulled out his recorder and started taking notes. As a scientist, he needed to understand what they were learning. What happened to them? He asked, if they were so advanced, where did they go? The artificial intelligence was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried deep sadness. They discovered something terrible was coming. A force from outside our galaxy that would destroy everything they had built. The harmonics had a choice: stay and fight a war they could not, win or preserve their people by sending them far away. Lisa stepped forward. They sent them to Earth? To a small blue planet on the very edge of the galaxy, where they would be safe until the danger passed. The harmonics, who stayed behind, sealed their technology and erased most records of their existence. They hoped that someday their people would return and awaken what they had left sleeping. Around the chamber, alien representatives listened with amazement. Some species had legends about the harmonics, but most had thought they were just myths. Kellyan Ambassador, whose sensitive hearing had been most affected by Emma's music, stood up on shaking legs. When he spoke, his words were translated into human language. The old songs of my people speak of the silent time when the galaxy lost its voice. We thought it was just a story our ancestors told. But if humans are truly the children of the harmonics, then the silent time is ending. Emma looked around the chamber at all the alien faces watching her. I don't understand. I'm just a communications officer. I learned to play violin from my grandfather. How can that be connected to some ancient civilization? Because music is in your blood, the artificial intelligence explained. Every human carries the genetic memory of the harmonics. Some more than others. Your grandfather could play because his ancestors could play, and his ancestors could play because they were harmonics. Peter looked up from his notes. If that's true, then every human on Earth has this ability? To some degree, yes, but it will take time to awaken fully. The harmonics knew their descendants would need to rediscover their heritage slowly, or the knowledge might be too much to handle. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The artificial intelligence's voice became urgent. Awakening has begun. Ships throughout the galaxy are responding to the harmonic resonance. Ancient systems are coming online. We must prepare for what comes next. Jake's voice crackled through Lisa's communication device. Commander, we're seeing massive energy spikes from dozens of ships. Some of them are moving toward our position. Lisa felt her heart race. Are they hostile? Unknown. But they're big and they're old. Whatever your team did over there, it's waking up things that have been asleep for a very long time. The Xanthari speaker Vex 9 activated his own communication device. After a brief exchange in his own language, he turned to the humans. My ship reports the same phenomenon. Derelict vessels throughout this sector are powering up. Most are harmonic in origin, but some belong to species that vanished long ago. Emma raised her violin again. Should I play something else? Maybe I can control what's happening. No, the artificial intelligence said quickly. The awakening cannot be stopped now. It has been too long suppressed, but do not fear it. The returning ships are not enemies. They are coming home, just as you have come home. Through the chamber's windows, Lisa could see lights moving in the darkness of space. Ships of impossible design were approaching from all directions, their hulls glowing with the same harmonic energy that had awakened them. Peter pointed at the largest approaching vessel. That ship is the size of a moon. How is it even moving? Harmonic drive systems, the artificial intelligence explained. They use music to fold space itself. The harmonics could travel between stars as easily as you walk across a room. Emma stared at the approaching fleet. And humans can learn to use these ships? You will not need to learn. The knowledge is already within you, waiting to be awakened. Just as your music awakened the sleeping technology, your presence will awaken the sleeping potential in every human. Jake's worried voice came through the communication device again. "Commander, we're being hailed by the approaching ships. The signals are coming in human languages, dozens of different human languages. How is that possible?" Lisa looked at Emma, then at the artificial intelligence's glowing walls. "Because we're not just meeting aliens anymore," she said quietly. "We're meeting our own people, coming home after the longest journey in history." The galaxy was waking up, and humanity was about to discover they were not alone in ways they had never imagined. The first message came through in perfect English, but with an accent that no human had ever heard before. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the keepers of the Outer Rim. We have been waiting for your song to call us home." Jake Sullivan stared at his communication screen in disbelief. The voice was clearly human, but the ship it came from was unlike anything Earth had ever built. It was massive and beautiful, with curves that seemed to flow like music made solid. "This is Captain Jake Sullivan of the Earth vessel Aurora. Who are you? How do you know our language?" The reply came with what sounded like gentle laughter. "We know your language because it is our language too. We are your cousins, Jake Sullivan, the descendants of those who stayed behind when the great ships carried our ancestors to safety." Dr. Ben Parker looked up from his instruments. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs on that ship. Hundreds of them, and their reading is human." Jake felt his world turn upside down. That's impossible. Humans have never left Earth before our recent space flights. "Not all humans went to Earth," the voice explained. "Some of our people hid in the far corners of the galaxy, in places where the darkness could not find them. We have been waiting and watching, keeping the old knowledge alive, hoping someday the music would return." More ships arrived, each one bringing voices speaking human languages that had never been heard on Earth. Some spoke English with strange accents. Others spoke in tongues that sounded familiar but different, like hearing a half-remembered song. Back in the council chamber, the artificial intelligence was explaining the full truth to Lisa and her team. When the great enemy came, the harmonics had to make terrible choices. They could not save everyone. The largest group was sent to the planet you call Earth, far from the coming war. But smaller groups were hidden throughout the galaxy, in places where they could survive and wait. Emma sat down heavily, her violin across her knees. "So there are humans all over the galaxy? How many?" "Thousands of worlds hold descendants of the harmonics. Some stayed close to their original nature, keeping music and art alive. Others adapted to harsh worlds and became something new, but still human in their hearts." Peter was frantically taking notes. "This changes everything we know about human history, about our place in the universe." "Indeed," said Speaker Vex 9, "the Galactic Council must now reconsider many things. We have spent millions of years governing a galaxy that we thought was empty of harmonics. Now we learn they were always here, waiting." Dr. Amy Foster's voice crackled through the communication system from the Aurora. "Commander Carter, we're receiving data streams from the approaching ships. They're sharing information about human settlements throughout the galaxy. There are entire worlds populated by our people." Lisa felt overwhelmed. How many worlds? Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. And they're all sending ships to this location. It's like Emma's music sent out a signal that reached every human in the galaxy. The artificial intelligence confirmed this. The harmonic resonance spreads faster than light itself. Every human settlement within 1,000 light years heard the awakening song. They are coming to witness the return of the music. Emma stood up and walked to the chamber's window. Outside, the darkness of space was filling with lights. Ships of every size and shape approached from all directions, their hulls glowing with the same energy that had awakened the station. "I just wanted to play my grandfather's violin," she said quietly. "I never thought it would cause something like this." "You have given the galaxy the greatest gift imaginable," the artificial intelligence said. "You have ended the silent time. After millions of years, the harmonics are coming home." But not everyone was happy about the awakening. Lieutenant Kevin Brooks, monitoring communications from the Aurora, detected hostile signals from ships on the far edge of the gathering. "Captain Sullivan," he reported, "we're getting aggressive transmissions from a fleet of unknown vessels. They're demanding that all human ships leave the area immediately." Jake looked at the display showing the approaching ships. These were different from the others. Darker, more angular, with no glow of harmonic energy about them. "Who are they?" The answer came from the artificial intelligence in the council chamber. "The hegemony has arrived. They are an alliance of species who have ruled through fear and force while the harmonics were silent. They will not welcome the return of the music." Speaker Vex 9's translation device crackled with static as he spoke rapidly to his own people. Finally, he turned to the humans. "The hegemony has controlled large portions of the galaxy for millions of years. They use weapons and threats to keep order. If humans truly have the power to awaken ancient technology, the hegemony will see you as a threat to their control." Lisa grabbed her communication device. "Jake, what's the status of those hostile ships?" "They're not approaching yet, but they're taking positions around the area. It looks like they're trying to surround us." Emma walked back to the center of the chamber, her violin ready. "Maybe I should play something. If music can wake up friendly ships, maybe it can calm down hostile ones." "No," said the artificial intelligence urgently. "The hegemony species are different. They have spent millions of years suppressing anything that reminds them of the harmonics. Your music might drive them to attack rather than retreat." Peter looked at his notes. "So we're caught between awakening more technology we don't understand and starting a war with aliens who fear our music." The chamber filled with the sound of incoming messages. Alien species throughout the galaxy were learning about the return of the harmonics. Some were sending congratulations and offers of friendship. Others were sending warnings and threats. Emma listened to the voices mixing together. Human languages from across the galaxy. Alien tongues both friendly and hostile. And underneath it all, the subtle harmony of awakened technology singing to itself. "It's not chaos," she said suddenly. "Listen carefully. All these sounds, they're trying to find harmony with each other. Even the hostile ones." Lisa tilted her head, trying to hear what Emma heard. "What do you mean?" "Music isn't just about pretty sounds. It's about different notes working together to create something beautiful. Right now, the galaxy is like an orchestra that's been silent for millions of years. Everyone's trying to remember their part." The artificial intelligence's voice grew. Excited. "The child understands. This is exactly what the harmonics discovered. Even conflict can become harmony if the right music is played." Emma raised her violin to her shoulder. "Then maybe it's time to help everyone remember their part." Before anyone could stop her, she began to play again. But this time, her music was different. Instead of the sad, beautiful melody from before, she played something that seemed to weave all the sounds in the galaxy together. The effect was immediate. The hostile transmissions from the hegemony ships began to change, their angry tones becoming confused, then uncertain. The friendly messages from human ships started to synchronize, creating a chorus of voices that spanned the galaxy dot and deep in the ancient technology of a million worlds. Sleeping machines began to remember their purpose. The galaxy was learning to sing again, and Emma Rodriguez was teaching it the words. Emma's new melody spread through space like ripples on a pond, the sound carried by radio waves, through the communication networks of hundreds of ships, and into the very structure of the ancient station itself. On the Aurora, Captain Jake Sullivan watched his instruments in amazement. The hostile energy signatures from the hegemony ships were changing. Their weapons were powering down, not because they chose to, but because the technology itself was responding to Emma's music. "Captain," Dr. Ben Parker called out, his voice full of wonder. "The hegemony vessels are losing power. Not from damage, but because their own systems are shifting frequency to match the harmonic patterns." Jake grabbed his communication device. "All human ships, this is Captain Sullivan. Stay calm and hold your positions. Something incredible is happening." The response came from dozens of voices, human captains from across the galaxy speaking in languages Earth had never heard. But somehow, Jake understood them all. The music was creating a bridge between minds, allowing all humans to communicate as if they shared one voice. In the council chamber, the alien representatives watched in silence as Emma played. The Vorthic crystals were glowing brighter than ever, their light pulsing in perfect time with the violin. The Kellians swayed gently, their large ears capturing every note and reflecting it back in soft whispers. Even more amazing, the tree-like beings had begun to hum. The sound came from deep in their wooden bodies, a low, rich tone that blended perfectly with Emma's higher notes. They were learning to make music. "Impossible," whispered Speaker Vex 9. "The Sylvani have never produced organized sound before. They communicate through chemical signals in their leaves." The artificial intelligence's voice filled the chamber with excitement. The harmonic awakening is not just affecting technology. It is awakening the musical potential in all conscious beings. Every species has the ability to create harmony, but they forgot how during the silent time. Peter looked up from his notes. "You mean all these species could make music, but they just never learned? Music is the universal language of consciousness." "The AI explained. Every thinking being has rhythm in their hearts, patterns in their thoughts. The harmonics understood this and taught other species to sing. When the harmonics vanished, the galaxy forgot how to listen to its own heartbeat." "Commander." Tony Mitchell's voice crackled through from the Aurora. "Commander Carter, we have a problem. Long-range sensors show a massive hegemony fleet approaching from the outer system. Over 1,000 ships, including some of their largest battleships." Lisa felt her stomach drop. "How long until they arrive? 6 hours, maybe less." Emma lowered her violin, the music fading into silence. "Will they attack us?" Before anyone could answer, a new voice filled the chamber. It was harsh and mechanical, translated from an alien language that sounded like grinding metal. "Attention all vessels. You are disturbing the peace of the galaxy with your primitive noise. Cease all musical activities immediately or face destruction. The hegemony will not tolerate the return of chaos." The artificial intelligence responded immediately. "General Krexmore of the hegemony, your threats are noted, but not feared. The awakening cannot be stopped." "It can be stopped by destroying every ship that carries the noisemakers," the hegemony general replied. "We have maintained order in this galaxy for 3 million years. We will not allow ancient superstitions to threaten our authority." Lisa stepped forward. "This is Commander Lisa Carter of Earth. We're not trying to threaten anyone. We just want to understand our heritage." "Your heritage is irrelevant. Your species will return to your home world and remain there, or you will be eliminated. You have 6 hours to comply." The transmission cut off, leaving the chamber in tense silence. Emma clutched her violin tighter. "Maybe I should stop playing. I don't want to start a war." "Child," the artificial intelligence said gently, "the war started 3 million years ago when the hegemony chose fear over harmony. They have ruled by making others afraid to express themselves, afraid to create, afraid to sing. Your music is not starting a war. It is ending one." Captain Nicole Adams's voice came through the communication system. She commanded one of the human ships that had arrived from the far edges of the galaxy. "Commander Carter, we've been hiding from the hegemony for thousands of years. They destroy any world that shows signs of developing music or art. They call it maintaining stability, but really, they're just afraid. Afraid of what? Lisa asked. Afraid that if people learn to create beauty together, they won't need the hegemony's control anymore, Captain Adams replied. Music brings people together. It makes them think and feel and dream. The hegemony prefers people who only know how to follow orders. Dr. Amy Foster's excited voice interrupted from the Aurora. Commander, I'm detecting something amazing. The awakened ships aren't just gathering here. They're forming some kind of network. Each ship is connected to the others through harmonic frequencies. Peter looked at Emma. What does that mean? Emma closed her eyes and listened to the subtle sounds around her. The station hummed with activity. The approaching ships sang their own quiet songs, and even the alien representatives were making soft sounds that blended together. It means we're all becoming part of something bigger, she said slowly. Like instruments in an orchestra. Each ship, each person, each species has their own part to play, but together we're creating something no one could make alone. The artificial intelligence confirmed her understanding. The network of harmony was the harmonic's greatest achievement. When fully activated, it connects every conscious being in the galaxy, allowing them to share thoughts, feelings, and creativity instantly. That's what the hegemony is really afraid of, Lisa realized. If everyone in the galaxy can communicate and share ideas freely, no one will accept being controlled by fear anymore. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The hegemony fleet had arrived early, dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. The sensors showed ships of war, built for destruction rather than exploration. Jake's urgent voice filled the communication channel. All ships, we have incoming hostiles. The hegemony fleet is moving to attack positions. Emma raised her violin again. What should I play? Play what your heart tells you, the artificial intelligence said. Play for every being in this galaxy who has forgotten how to sing. Play for those who remember but are afraid to try. Play for the future you want to create. Emma took a deep breath and began the most important performance of her life. This time, her music carried a message that reached every conscious mind within 1,000 light-years dot. It was a song of invitation, asking every being in the galaxy to remember their voice and join the harmony. The response was beyond anything anyone had imagined possible. Emma's violin sang across the galaxy, and the galaxy sang back. From 1,000 worlds, voices joined her melody. Some were human voices, descendants of the harmonics who had waited millions of years for this moment. Others were alien sounds that had never been heard before. The crystal chimes of the Vorthek, the wind song of the tree-like Sylvani, even the rhythmic clicking of the insect beings. On the bridge of the Aurora, Captain Jake Sullivan watched his sensors in amazement. Ben, are you seeing this? Dr. Ben Parker nodded, his voice filled with wonder. Energy readings are off the charts. Every ship in the system is resonating in perfect harmony. Even the asteroids are vibrating in tune. The hegemony fleet approached. In battle formation, their weapons charged and ready. But something strange was happening to their ships. The harsh metal surfaces began to glow with soft light. Deep inside their vessels, ancient systems that had been buried under layers of military technology started to wake up. General, Crexmore's voice crackled with anger as he spoke to his fleet. All ships, ignore the harmonics. Fire on the human vessels immediately. But when his weapons officer tried to activate the guns, nothing happened. The weapon systems had changed frequency to match the galaxy-wide harmony. They would no longer fire destructive energy. Instead, they hummed with musical tones. Sir, the weapons officer reported in confusion, our systems are not responding. All frequencies have shifted to match the harmonic pattern. In the council chamber, Emma played with tears streaming down her face. She could feel every consciousness in the galaxy joining her song. Millions of voices, billions of hearts beating in rhythm, all connected by the universal language of music. The artificial intelligence spoke with joy in its ancient voice. The network of harmony is complete. Every conscious being within 1,000 light years is now connected. General Crexmore, can you feel it? Can you hear what your people have been missing? The hegemony general's response came after a long pause. When he spoke, his mechanical translator could not hide the confusion in his voice. What is this feeling? My crew, they are acting strangely. Some are making sounds I have never heard before. They are singing, Lisa said gently. They are remembering what it feels like to create beauty instead of fear. Throughout the hegemony fleet, soldiers who had known only war and discipline were discovering music for the first time. A hegemony engineer on one of their largest ships began tapping out rhythms on his control panel. Others hummed along without knowing why. The sound spread from ship to ship as beings who had never imagined such a thing began to make music together. Emma's melody changed, becoming stronger and more complex. She wove together all the different sounds from across the galaxy. Human voices, alien harmonies, the songs of awakened machines, even the deep bass notes of planets themselves resonating with. The universal frequency dot Captain Nicole Adams spoke from her ship, her voice full of hope. Commander Carter, we're receiving surrender signals from hegemony vessels. Not all of them, but many. Their crews are refusing to fight. On the flagship of the hegemony fleet, General Crexmore faced a situation he had never imagined. His bridge crew, trained from birth to follow orders without question, were looking at him with new expressions on their faces. They had felt the connection to other minds, experienced the joy of creating something beautiful together, and they no longer wanted to destroy. General, his second-in-command said quietly, perhaps we should listen to what the music is trying to teach us. Crexmore activated his communication system, speaking to the council chamber. Human musicians, what is it you want from us? Emma lowered her violin for a moment. We don't want anything from you, General. We want to give you something. We want to give you back the music your people forgot. My people are warriors. We do not sing. Everyone can sing, Emma replied. You just need to remember how. She began playing again, but this time her melody was different. It was the song of peace after war, of tired soldiers laying down their weapons and going home. It spoke of the possibility that enemies could become friends, that strength could be used to protect rather than destroy. The effect on the hegemony fleet was immediate. More ships began standing down. Soldiers throughout the fleet stopped preparing for battle and started listening to the music their own hearts were learning to make. Peter watched the readings on his instruments. The harmonic network is stabilizing. It's like the galaxy is, finding its natural rhythm for the first time in millions of years. But not everyone in the hegemony was ready to accept change. A group of their most militant ships broke away from the main fleet and charged toward the station, their weapons still functioning because they had been modified to resist harmonic interference. All human ships, defensive positions, Jake ordered. We have incoming hostiles. Before the human ships could respond, something unexpected happened. The alien species in the council chamber stood as one. The Zenthari, the Vorthek, the Kellians, and all the others activated their own ship's communication systems. We will not allow the music to be silenced again, Speaker Vex-9 announced. The Galactic Council stands with humanity. Council ships moved to intercept the attacking hegemony vessels. But instead of firing weapons, they broadcast music. The combined songs of 12 different species created a wall of harmony that the militant ships could not penetrate. The attacking vessels slowed, then stopped completely as their crews were overwhelmed by the beauty of what they were hearing. One by one, their weapons powered down. Emma played the final notes of her galaxy-spanning symphony. letting the melody fade into a gentle harmony that would continue long after her violin was silent. The network of harmony was complete, connecting every world, every ship, every conscious being in a web of understanding and creativity. General Crexmore's voice came through the communication system one last time, but now it sounded different. The harsh, mechanical tone was gone, replaced by something almost like wonder. "I request permission to come aboard your station," he said. "My people and I would like to learn about this music you have given us." Lisa smiled. "Permission granted, General. There's room for everyone in the harmony." As the hegemony ships docked peacefully alongside human and council vessels, Emma sat down in the center of the chamber. Her grandfather's violin rested across her knees, its wood warm from hours of playing. "Is it over?" she asked. The artificial intelligence answered with what could only be described as a smile in its voice. "No, child, it is just beginning. The galaxy has remembered how to sing. Now we must learn what songs we will create together." Through the chamber's windows, Emma could see ships from 100 different worlds gathering in peaceful formation. The lights of their vessels pulsed in rhythm with each other, creating a visual symphony that matched the music still echoing in everyone's hearts. The silent time was over. The galaxy had found its voice again, and it would never stop singing. Humanity had come home, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as teachers and healers, sharing the gift of music that connected all conscious beings across the vast reaches of space. The universe was alive with song, and every being in it was part of the choir.